Welcome to the Girl Talk Mental Health. Girl Talk Mental Health dares to go where others won't. We unpack the hard truths about mental health, dissect trending topics, and challenge the stereotypes and stigmas holding us back. From navigating the 6 dimensions of wellness to redefining social norms, this is more than a discussion. It's a revolution in how we care for our minds and souls. Ready for bold, honest conversations that spark change? Let's dive in. It's time for real talk with real impact.
How many times were you told, we don't talk about that here? Just pray it away. Be strong. Don't cry. In many Black, brown, and other minority families, unspoken pain is generational, but silence doesn't heal, it hides. Welcome back to another awesome episode of Girl Talk Mental Health, where we speak with others' silence. Today's episode is close to home for every person who's been told, just be strong, while they're silently heartbroken. We're talking and breaking through conditional cultural conditioning that told us therapy was taboo, emotions was weakness, and asking for help meant shame. Today, our special guest, Miss Angel Theodore, is here to uncover the truths about healing in cultures that told us not to hurt. So, welcome our special guest, Miss Angel Theodore, to the stage.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Virginia. This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And this is a conversation that's near and dear to my heart. Like, I was the girl that was told to pray it away or you don't need that. And so I felt a lot of shame, when I felt down because I have anxiety, few other things. And I felt that shame when I did ask for help or when I did go to therapy, but the Lord did take me on a journey on how to navigate that and why it's so important. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, because the important thing is that they go hand in hand, the spiritual part and, whatever intercessors he put on earth to be influential in your life is very important. So tell the audience who you are before we dive into this impactful conversation right here.
So my name's Angel Theodore. I'm the self-care catalyst and the founder of my self-care catalyst. And that stemmed from the mental health journey that I was taken on. So as women, we are taught, we got to hold it all together. We're busy, we're moms, entrepreneurs, wives, all these things. And we take care of ourselves last.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, there are higher impacts of autoimmune diseases, stress-related illnesses, and all those things. But I found that if you take time for yourself and make little changes, you're able to then care for everyone else around you and do the things that you love even more. So that is my mission. That is my heart. And it's a global movement if you want to join, because we as women need to come together in community.
Absolutely. And thank you for being here and sharing some great nuggets. I know you have some great, awesome tips and tools for the people today. So you ready to dive in?
Let's go.
So why do you think mental health is still considered a weakness in so many minority communities, even still today in 2025?
Yeah, I think honestly, a part of it is the DNA that was passed down from slavery. So I don't know if you've heard of, oh my gosh, I think it's genetics. I should have looked that up prior. But basically, things can be passed down generationally into your DNA. And they've done studies on mice where they shock a mouse, like they're like shocking one mouse, right, every time they smell an orange peel, right? And they keep doing this over time, and eventually they take away the shock, but they put an orange peel in front of them. And every time that orange peel goes in front of them, the mouse gives that bodily reaction to being shocked, right? And they did this study on like a few generations of mice, and I'm going to call them like the grand mice, right? They had that same reaction. So they never got shocked, but every time they smelled orange, they did that bodily reaction. And they've just done studies on this with humans as well. So I think a part of it is it's just been passed down, whether it's in your DNA or whether it's verbal, the generations. We don't do this, we don't say that, we just pray it away, all these things. Um, and so as a result, it just seems really taboo. And passing, like things being passed down from slavery, it's kind of like we were and are scared to take that change because we've been told we shouldn't do it. And as a result, we want to please in a way.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
it's hard you say that because June was Men's Mental Health Month, and we
Yeah.
were talking about how men are conditioned to be strong and they
Mhm.
can't show vulnerability or show weakness. And I was talking about that with a guest in June about how it comes from slavery days when men had to be strong, they had to save face in front of their family because they were being tortured or beat or whatever in front of their families and kids, and they
Yeah.
had to stay strong so that the woman could continue being strong, even though he was about to be, killed or put away or somewhere like that. So yeah, it is generational, and it's funny how things we think generational is only the color of your eyes, your heritage, those types of things. But I found too, it's a little off topic, but domestic violence. Like a person could not even be raised in the same household as their mom or dad, and if their
Mhm.
mom or dad was a domestic abuser, that the kids do it
Wow.
too, even if they weren't around and saw the daddy doing it or the
Yeah.
mom doing it, because women do it these days too. But that's just interesting.
That's so interesting. I had no idea about that one. So there's a book I'm going to throw out there, and I'm going to read it too. So maybe book club. But it's called Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and it's talking about mindset. It's talking about how Black people feel that they can't dream. They feel that they can't do things because they're taboo because it was passed down from all these different generations. So I definitely recommend that book. It's on my to-do list in like the next couple months as well. So
What's the name of it again?
post traumatic slave syndrome.
Post traumatic slave syndrome. Okay, I'll have to get that one too. Let me write it
Yeah.
down before I forget it. So let's go to the next item on the list. So, how
Mhm.
do we honor our culture and choose a new, healthier path for ourselves?
Yeah, I think our culture is so beautiful. We bring so many things to the table: music, culture, food, anything you can think of. We're smart. We're just so amazing. So I think we need to honor that. But I think we also need to validate and look at the pain that we've been through, not to stay there. But there is an African proverb called Sankofa. And that means in order to move forward, you have to look back. So you can't bury things under the rug. And I think that's something our culture and a lot of other cultures have tried to do in the past few decades is bury things under the rug. We don't talk about it when we leave this house, we are a unit. And I do believe there's something to being unified, but also you need to address problems. Because if you don't, it's going to boil up kind of um, like a soda cap, you're shaking it, shaking it, shaking it, and then it's going to explode. But if you just open it little by little, it's going to like leave in a healthy way. So we need to do that. We need to look back at like some of the pain that we felt and acknowledge it and validate it. And what validating means is like, okay, like I see you, I see that pain. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And then now let's find a way to move forward
Mhm.
because if we don't, we're just going to keep staying in these cycles. We're never going to break free. And it really does start in the mind. Like, I always use this analogy of if you break your arm, let's say, if you break your arm, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the doctor, right? If you're struggling mentally, it's totally okay to go seek therapy. It's totally okay to go seek coaching or something like that. So then
Mhm.
you heal because everything is done from your heart and your mind. So,
Mhm. That's true. So tell me a little bit about your background, because you seem to be into the African American culture or history or something like that. So do you study it, or what's your background in it?
yeah, I did study it, and I'm so glad I was put into this program not against my own will, but like in school, we're taught about, Harriet Tubman MLK, and like we started out as slaves, right?
Mhm.
But when I was attending community college, I was put in this program called Sankofa, and it talked about African history, African American history. And I was like, what? Because I'm going to be real. When I thought of traveling the world as I got older, Africa was not on my list. Why? Because usually we're shown like safaris, and then we're shown for 80 cents a day, you can sponsor this kid so he can have a meal. But there's so much more to Africa. Like there's places in Nigeria that look like Manhattan. There is so much culture, so much music that sounds like it's Pitbull or like other artists that seem cool
Mhm.
in America, right? And so that really helped take me on this journey of like, wow, we've been doing it. Like we had a whole world before we were brought over here. And sometimes the rule, or like sometimes people say like, oh, well, it's good that like, Africans were brought over to America because, silver lining, there weren't Christians there. But that is a whole lie, because I mean, Egypt is in the Bible. Moses
Mhm.
is from Egypt. There
Mhm.
were other colonies in Africa that were practicing Christianity long before people came over to colonize it. So that
Mhm.
is debunked. But I'm so glad I was, put in those classes and those courses, because it opened my eyes. And now I can share that information to open other people's eyes, because knowledge is power. When you have knowledge, you're going to go far. Like scripture says, people fail for lack of knowledge, or I think it says perish for lack of knowledge. So
Mhm.
you could die physically, metaphorically, or something like that. But we need to spread the word.
Right. Well, that's good. So let's take a quick commercial break and then we're going to come back and dive in. And then I want to ask you a question that's kind of personal because I always try to I call it getting in people business a little bit, but it's also that the people can understand that there is a diverse thing, culture or whatever of people who are like them because people think they're in their own little bubble, and then when they don't see people that look like them, they don't get the proper help, the proper knowledge, like you said, the education. They think they just suppress it and hide it and be a recluse and don't get the help that they need. But we'll be
Yeah.
right back after this quick commercial break. Nothing scary, just a little information.
You weren't meant to break, you were set apart. What if your deepest pain was the birthplace of your greatest purpose? Meet Gingerbread, a child caught in the chaos of her mother's depression and suicide attempts. She never asked for trauma, shame, or to feel invisible, but she found something greater. Set Apart, the journey to find hope through loneliness, shame, and death is more than a book. It's the breakthrough you didn't know you needed. If you've ever said, "I'm fine," when you were falling apart. If you've ever thought, "This story isn't for me," it is. Don't let fear, excuses, or busyness rob you of healing. This book will shatter the silence, stir your soul, and remind you, you were never forgotten. You were set apart. Set Apart, the journey to find hope in times of shame, loneliness, and death, by author Virginia Dale Manning. Available now, because hope can't wait.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is amazing.
All right, welcome back to the second half of Girl Talk Mental Health, and we have Miss Angel Theodore here. If you missed the first half, you need to go back and watch it because she dropped some real cultural knowledge, some information, some knowledge that we don't know or most people don't know about how certain things go from generation to generation. So go back and watch the first half. So, and I said before we left, I was gonna get in your business a little bit, but don't sweat. It's okay. It's a little something, something. But give me a personal time where you felt like you were affected because of your culture and your background in some type of way. Were you affected and how it affected you?
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll take it back. We'll take it back to my childhood. So I grew up in a neighborhood where I was one of the only girls who looked like me. And I would question, like, why don't I have blonde hair? Why do I wear glasses? Why do I have this? Why don't I have blue eyes? XYZ. And I just felt very othered. But the Lord took me on a journey, and He's like, whoa, like I have different standards for beauty. I have more creativity than just like the one standard that's being shown. And I came up in the 90s, and so we had TV, radio, magazines. But if you kind of look back, there was only one cookie cutter version of what beauty looked like. And so
Mhm.
I asked the question because I didn't see myself on those magazines or anyone who looked like me. So I'm like, am I not beautiful? And I got told that I wasn't beautiful a few times too by like peers and whatnot. So that made me question a lot. And I had really low self esteem growing up. But over time, again, the Lord took me on a journey. He showed me people who looked like me, and it's been really helpful. Did I answer your full question?
Yeah, that's good enough because so I'm pretty sure a lot of people can connect with that identity thing. That's a like an identity crisis type of thing. And if you don't get the proper help or the knowledge or seek, it could be godly, spiritual, asking for wisdom and some kind of guidance in that way. But if you don't ask, you don't receive in the Bible, right? And
Yeah,
so
I'm
but
not
you
pushing
do. But if
back.
people don't feel like they think they stuck with it, like this is what I have to be, or I have to, like what you went through, like you could have easily said, well, this is my destiny. I just have to always think that I'm inferior, and they're better than me, and I'm a other, and things like that. So I'm pretty sure somebody's being
Yeah,
touched by that one little example. That's why I always ask. I say get in your business, but it's a nugget that's gonna help somebody that look like you and talk like you and and
yeah.
everything and had the same experience as you. So thank you.
You're welcome. And can I say something about shame? So the enemy wants you to think that you're alone. He wants you to think like, oh, I'm the only one going through this. I am like alone, all these things, and he uses that for isolation. But what I found, and even in some of my programs, I use a lot of statistics, and I use a lot of statistics to show that you're not alone. So when I help young girls, 1 in 4 girls want to change something about their body. There are many girls who have social media dysmorphia where they want to look like what's on now. We have all this social media. Or in 2018, there was something called Snapchat dysmorphia, which is very interesting. It was women who were seeking plastic surgery to look like their Snapchat filters. And it was a whole thing. And there was kind of a moral compass behind it. And plastic surgeons were like, I don't know if I can ethically do this, XYZ. But it just goes to show that, like, you're not alone. So if you ever feel something or you feel like you're the only one going through something, I challenge you to go into Google and just be like, percentage of people suffering with this or percentage of people who think this, and the statistics are going to help bring you down and be like, okay, 85% of other women feel this too, and it just really helps bring down that shame.
Or Chat GPT. Chat
Oh
GPT gonna give you the real knowledge and facts.
yeah, so
But
true.
that shame and loneliness, that's how I felt as a kid as well, which is why the Set Apart book with Gingerbread, who was a portrayal of me or whatever, her
Yeah.
character is synonymous with the shame and loneliness that I felt growing up with a parent who
Mhm.
had mental health issues and the stigmas and everything that keeps a person from seeking the help that they need or whatever. So what's if somebody for someone who's watching or for the audience, the viewers who feels like getting help is a betrayal to their
Mm,
upbringing, what would you say to them?
I would say it's not. I would say find people that agree with you during this time, because I know we all want to please our families, but you're an adult now, and I mean that so gently. And scripture says, honor your father and mother. It says honor them. It does not say obey them. Like when you're an adult, you are able to make your own decisions. And
Mhm.
it's going to be hard, but I encourage you to find like minded people. So if you have friends that are like, mental health is good, I support you in getting help, all those things, really lean into them and lean on them during that time, because you may have that pushback with your family, but as long as you have a support system around you to seek help, it's going to help you to, get what you need. But
Mhm.
going alone.
Right. And having that additional support system is good. Number one, everyone should have multiple support systems. And
Yeah.
number two, you could be the catalyst that breaks the cycle. So if If you go
True.
out and seek something different, if you know and you see that there's something different, but your family is stuck in these old ways of thinking and doing, then you could be the one to break the generational cycle of, we stuck in not seeking the help that we need and not thinking that you can be strong even when you weak. Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
done before too. There's two consultants that I follow, and they grew up with a lot of childhood trauma, and then they came together. But the Lord used their stories, like they had to work through all that trauma. It was messy at first, but they were able to be used to then bring healing to their family. So their whole family trajectory has changed, and they have healthy habits, and they work through their issues. They don't just hide them under the rug. So that could be you.
Absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
we are at my favorite part of the show, and it is the spotlight question. So, are you ready for the spotlight question?
Oh, that's funny because I yes.
All right. So, what's one mindset shift or action step you believe could transform how we approach mental health and wellness in our daily lives?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite questions and one of my favorite tips, but I want you to listen to the voice in your head. Just like observe it and think about how you're talking to yourself. Because a lot of us by default are negative, and I call it being in an abusive relationship with yourself. Um, so if you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't think it to yourself about who you are, and don't say it to yourself. And the action step I want you to do, like, is observe it and then write down something nice about yourself. So over this next week, every day, just kind of observe the thoughts that you're having and then write down something else. So if you make a mistake at work and your thought is, man, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? I want you to write down something like, I can learn. I'm still smart. I'm qualified for this job. Because again, I mentioned it starts in the mind, and our brains are defaulted to think negatively. So I want you to bring awareness to it. And over time, that's really going to shift your mindset and your mental health.
That's good. That's good. So let the audience know where they can connect with you and if you have some type of special offer or something for them.
Yeah, of course. So you can go to myselfcarecatalyst.com to connect with me. And I'm actually launching a new program on July 15th called 321 Steps to Self Care Total Embodiment. That was a mouthful, but it is for the woman. It's for the high achieving woman who's doing everything and being everything to everyone, but she's burnout. She is afraid to ask for help, but she's at her wits' end. So this is a 3-month course, 14 weeks, and it's everything I learned in 11 years. I put it in this course. So you're going to learn emotional intelligence. You're going to learn how to take care of yourself in a healthy way. And then we're going to have a retreat at the end like at the end of the year to meet in person. So limited spots, only 20 spots for the total embodiment course, but we are doing an early bird discount until July 1st. So please check out myselfcarecatalyst.com and schedule a call to enroll if you want to get rid of the burnout.
Okay.
Practice self-care. Yeah.
That's some good information. Well, I for sure thank you. And are you on social media as Angel Theodore?
Uh,
Okay.
Care Catalyst. So everything is my self-care catalyst.
Okay, good, perfect. So y'all go and follow Angel, hook up with Girl Talk Mental Health, because Girl Talk Mental Health doesn't just start a conversation. We're creating a movement, and Angel is starting us off this July on the Minority Mental Health Month. And we don't offer quick tips; we offer transformation through truth telling, faith, and culturally rooted healing. So watch us on YouTube, watch us on E360 TV. Go connect with Angel. Go join her group and you call it what you call it?
Catalyst. Oh, a catalyst.
A catalyst, right? Be
Yeah.
join. It's good to be a part of something, and she has a great community for you to be a part of. So, if you like this episode, you want to connect, share your thoughts or your story, just like she shared her story about this episode, and share with someone who needs to heal with you through being, a part of a community. And you know what? Healing is holy, spiritual, whatever you want to use, but you need to connect to something that's greater than you. Okay. So see y'all next week for another awesome episode of Girl Talk Mental Health.
Thank you for joining us for Girl Talk Mental Health. Remember, your mental health is your wealth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to at Virginia Del Manning.